Hi there, and welcome to the second episode of Monetize Your Message, where you will be developing strategies to build a consistent message and achieve all of your messaging goals. My name is Marie, and I'm one half of North Star Messaging and Strategy.
And I'm Jessie, and I'm the other half. And today we are talking about how to connect to your core and what the heck that even means and why it's important for you and your business. So let's dive right in and first of all, talk about what it means when we say connect to your core, because this is a big component of our own business and what we help other people achieve through their businesses. So when we say to connect to your core, what we're essentially talking about is looking at what is the most essential component of your business. So what is important to you and what are you most passionate about? And how are you bringing that into your business through your messaging? And this is really important because when you don't do this, then it kind of becomes a recipe for burnout and spinning your wheels and going from idea to idea. And what you end up with is a business that isn't necessarily strategic or able to survive over the long term. So you want to look at what is most important to you. What are you most passionate about? And where does your personal mission and your personal values, where do those intersect with your business ideas and your business goals? Where can you find that point of connection between the two?
Totally. So, it may be that you are totally passionate about a lot of things. That can be a struggle for people because they don't know where they want to focus in. And so it's really important just first of all to check in with yourself and get a list of those things so that you have a place to start. And then from there can be decisions made. And Jessie's absolutely right that part of it is about that intersection between what it is you love and, what it is that you want to do and what it is that your audience needs. So there's sort of this sweet spot in the middle, and not all of your passions are necessarily going to translate into that sweet spot. And so that can kind of help you whittle it down if you have a lot of things that you're excited about and could imagine yourself building a business around. The other thing is sometimes it can go the other way. Maybe you're really excited about something and you feel like all the things you're super passionate about could never make you money. I used to be guilty of thinking that. And now we've built a business around it. So you may need to challenge your misconceptions. But, say secondly, you just haven't found that way, right? And so you just decide to build a business to make some quick money. And you can totally do that. I mean, there are definitely businesses out there that I have a hard time imagining that the thing they're most passionate about in the world is that business. And those businesses are needed, right? Like all of us use services and industries and other businesses that we just don't have any interest in, or we may have even worked for companies. Probably all of us have worked for companies that we were kind of just meh about, right? That happens and it's okay. I mean, it's okay. It really is. But it's not ideal. And you have to think about have you felt burnout in those situations? Or have you felt if I was just passionate about what I was doing every day, it would be so much easier to get up and come into work. And it's really true. I've worked for places where I felt meh about the mission and places where I felt awesome about the mission. And on those really hard days, it definitely was easier to get up and go to work and do the thing and get excited about it on those days when I felt I was making a difference in a way that I cared about. And so the same thing is totally true for your business as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and that's completely informed our business and how our business is structured. So just kind of using ourselves as an example, we specifically work with purpose-driven entrepreneurs and nonprofits. And what that means for us is we found the intersection between our passions, which was writing and telling stories in effective ways, using language that really kind of gets to the point of what people are trying to offer the world, and this idea that we want to work with people who are trying to make a difference in a positive way, whether it's in the world as a whole, with their clients, within their industry. And so we found that intersection, and that's what we've used as the model and the foundation for our business. So everything that we do comes back to that idea of, are we serving this core mission, this core idea that we created for ourselves? Which leads to the next piece, which is, we wanted to look at where can we have a sustainable positive impact. So the word impact gets tossed around a lot, but what does that mean? And what kind of an impact do you want to have? And the next piece of that is what kind of impact do you want your business to have, and how do you create that impact in a way that is congruent with your passions and with your mission.
Right. So let's unpack that word impact a little bit, because that word gets used a lot. So there's a lot of love for it, but it's very fast becoming, or has maybe already become, a buzzword. And so that means there's a lot of hatred for it too. So let's find another way to kind of talk about that in a way that is meaningful to everybody, no matter where you stand on that word. So to us, what we're talking about really is about why you're doing what you're doing. And it goes back to what we were just talking about what you're passionate about. And most of us go into business because, I mean, yeah, we want to build a life for ourselves that looks like what we want it to look like. And yeah, we want to make money. But we definitely also want to help people. We want to have some kind of impact on other people's lives. So, maybe you open a local bookstore. Okay, well, I mean, one of the things you want to do is enrich people's lives and introduce them to literature they didn't know about, and help them find that perfect gift for a reader, that'll mean something to them, and, whatever it is. Or maybe you're a chocolatier, right? Is that even a word?
It is.
Because I kind of want one in my side pocket for sure at all times.
I know, right?
Like, how is that not bringing joy to the world, right?
Right.
Maybe you're sort of more traditionally helping people, like as a life coach or as a nutritionist. Whatever the case is, it's about, if you can focus in on that way that you are changing other people's lives, improving other people's lives, even if it sort of feels like maybe a superficial kind of way, you have to remember that, gestures of kindness, like, you go to a chocolate shop and it just seems like, okay, well, I'm just making someone's taste buds happy for right now. But you don't know what kind of gesture that's giving. I mean, those chocolates could end up in the hands of somebody who's being proposed to. Those chocolates could end up in the hands of somebody who's not feeling well and just needs someone to remember them and to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. You never know where they're going to end up and how they can really bring joy and meaningful connectivity to people's lives. And so I think it's really important to focus in on that, because it gives all of us purpose. And in those moments where things feel really hard, it's something to fall back on and to remember, yeah, this is totally why I'm doing it. And like Jessie said, that helps you totally avoid that burnout in those really hard days and moments.
Yeah. And I can't remember where I saw this, so I can't give proper attribution. I apologize. But I was reading some comments around the word impact and some of the, hesitance that people had towards using it these days, which I totally get. And I really liked this explanation of the word impact by itself just being a very neutral word. You can have a positive or a negative impact, and it's still impact. Impact just means change. So when you're looking at connecting to your core, what you want to be looking at is what kind of impact do you want? And is that how you are kind of relating to your passions? And how is that impact or that change, how is that being expressed through your business? So, it's kind of taking these buzzwords and really unpacking them, like Marie said, and figuring out what do they actually mean for you and what do they actually mean for your business and for your passions. Because the danger of buzzwords, whenever you hear something too many times, you stop hearing it. You say, oh yeah, they're making an impact. They're making an impact. Everyone's making an impact. Well, okay, great. What does that actually mean for you in your business, in your life? This thing that you're creating, that you are showing up for every single day and working hard at, what does that mean, making an impact? So you need to decide that for yourself and figure out how that translates to connecting to your core, which kind of takes us, sorry, did you have something to say, Marie?
No, it's okay. We were just sharing a brain, which takes us to the next point, right?
Yeah, there you go. Go for it.
Yeah, so what we've been talking about so far is like kind of cerebral, high-level stuff. So yeah, okay, you have been thinking about this, like what you want your business to be around and how it's around something you're passionate about and so that you can make an impact. But like, how do you actually do that, right?
So we like to take things from up here and actually ground them. So exactly. How do you go from abstract to concrete?
Exactly. So we found a little formula that really helps people go through these steps. And then also it's actually kind of cool because it creates something that you can go back to time and time again. And it actually can become a true business asset for you and really kind of like a litmus test for everything that you are considering adding or altering about your business going forward. Because remember, like we said, you want to have that sustainable impact, and it's really hard to have anything be sustainable if you're not looking at it in the long term. So the formula for being able to connect to your core is to create a mission statement, to create a vision statement, and to create pillars for your business. So we're going to dive again into all of these and unpack these words as well, because all of them are used and in different industries. And so we'll talk a little bit about what we mean by each of them. So I'll start with mission statement. So you guys probably know I come from the nonprofit world. That's where I got my professional start. And so every nonprofit has a mission statement. I've seen mission statements before that sort of just end up in like grant documents, or you might see it on an annual report and nobody really gives it a second thought. But those nonprofits that are really intentional and really want to grow in a way that actually really does change people's lives in the way that they want to change people's lives, take their mission statement really seriously. So they've created this statement that says, this is who we are, this is who we serve, and this is how and why it matters. And what happens is anytime that they think, oh, we should totally create a new program, like we should start teaching the kids in the schools, or we should start whatever it is, a new fundraiser, anything like that, they go back to the mission statement and they say, okay, is this really aligned, or is this another distraction? Could we be putting this energy towards something else that's more in line with our mission statement? Or is this something that's actually going to help us achieve our mission? And turns out this is a really great test for entrepreneurs as well in your business. You don't have to run a nonprofit for this to be applicable to you. So when you create a mission statement for your business, saying those things like, who am I, who do I serve, what do I do, and why does it matter? Every time you think about adding a new program, or every time you think about hosting a new challenge, or putting yourself out there in a podcast interview, anything, if you can go back to that mission statement, you can determine really quickly if this is actually a smart move for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of as a quick example, I just pulled this up on my phone really quick. I live in the LA area. So this is the San Diego Zoo, which is pretty close to us. And it's their mission statement, which is the San Diego Zoo is committed to saving species worldwide by uniting our expertise in animal care and conservation science with our dedication to inspiring passion for nature. So taking all of that, and anytime the San Diego Zoo does anything, they look back at that. They say, okay, is this new program going to help us save species worldwide? Is it going to take into account our expertise in animal care and conservation science? And is it going to go back to our dedication to inspiring a passion for nature? So you get these like bullet points out of your mission statement where it's like, okay, is program X going to do point 1, point 2, or point 3? Is it in line with these things that we care about in our business? Mm-hmm. And like Marie mentioned, it's very common in the nonprofit world to see these mission statements, but it's not quite as common with entrepreneurs. And we've done a few different polls and surveys, and a lot of people don't have a mission statement. They may have some sort of canned little elevator speech of what they do, but they haven't actually broadened it out into a mission statement that talks about the impact, there's that word again, that they will have, and how that mission, how that elevator speech actually relates to their overall vision for their business, which leads to the next thing, which is the vision statement. So the mission statement is where you are and what you do and who you serve and why. And then the vision statement is where are you going? What is your overall goal? What is your, what do you want your business to look like in 5 years or in 10 years? So that you can kind of set your sights on the future so that you can create a strategic plan to get from point A to point B. So, it's one thing to say, I want to create a business that is going to help with conservation. It's another thing to say, we want to be leaders in the fight for endangered species. So you want that in the next 5 to 10 years. What does that look like? What actions need to be taken within your business in order to make that happen? So the first thing that you have to connect your core is a mission statement. And then the second is the vision statement, because that lets you look at not just where you are, but where you're going over the long term.
Totally. This is, by the way, pretty much why we've called our business North Star Messaging and Strategy, because your North Star, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, your Southern Star, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, is that direction, right? It's like you have to choose what is your own true north, and that's like your mission statement. But then there's also a goal to follow, right? Like there's always something that keeps you on path towards that trajectory. And you may never actually reach it, but it helps make sure that you're actually heading in the right direction, and that you're not getting off course. And so that's totally the core of our business, is helping people figure that out. And really the reason that we know it's important is because we've gone through this process ourselves. Mm-hmm. We've been around since 2010, and we've been through a few iterations in that time period, all of it under sort of like the large umbrella of just like copywriting and writing and editing and just helping people, communicate and tell stories in a bunch of different ways. But we went through several iterations ourselves of, what is our trajectory? What do we actually want to accomplish with this? What sets our hearts on fire, but then also like what's sustainable over the long term, and what impact do we, sorry, there's that word. What positive change do we want to create in the world? Okay, so these are great, but they're still kind of cerebral, right? These are statements that you may never share with anybody, that they're statements that you might just write down on a piece of paper, on a sticky note, put by your desk, and just refer to for your own sort of internal guidepost. But how can you actually take action with that? And the first step in that process is to identify the pillars of your business. So when we talk about the pillars of your business, what we're talking about are the overarching topics that every single thing you talk about, it falls under. So basically, another way to think about this is, what do you want to be known for? What is it that you can go back to those passions and see what is it that you can kind of categorize everything under, so that from there, when you have this mission statement, a vision statement, you're now communicating with the world in a way that's super, super consistent with that. And what's really awesome about that is that can help you figure out exactly what are those services and offerings that you have, how to sell them. This will inform everything you do with them, from the creation of those things to the promotion of those things to launch plans. I mean, everything can fall under these pillars. And once you have the pillars in place, it makes it a lot clearer to figure out how you're actually going to create those plans of attack.
Yeah, so if your mission and vision statement is your North Star, then your pillars are your map. It's what is actually getting you from point A to point B, from your mission to your vision, and giving you that pathway to follow. And so all of these things, your mission, your vision, your pillars, what's the end result of them? Like what does it look like in your business once you have them in place? And the first and most important thing that happens is exactly what Marie was just talking about. Your business objectives and plans become way more streamlined. So we've all been in this place of total scatteredness, which isn't a word, but I'm taking it. Total scatteredness. Yeah. Where we're in a place where it's like, okay, this isn't working, so let me try this. And this isn't working, so let me try this. Or, maybe today I'll try Instagram and tomorrow I'll try Facebook. And you try a service one week and a new service the next week. And you never really stick to one thing long enough to gain traction, or to really feel like you've kind of dropped into that realization of your mission. And so when you have a mission and a vision statement in place, when you have pillars that you can follow and sort of categorize all of your content under and all of your services under and launches, that's when you end up being able to look at all of these brilliant ideas you come up with and just ask yourself, is this in line with my mission? Is this in line with my vision? Does it fall under one of my pillars? And if the answer is no, that means that you may have to set it aside. Maybe it means your pillars have to shift a little bit. But it allows you a framework or a lens to look at everything through so that you know if your idea is way out in left field, that it may be something that you leave alone for right now. And if your idea fits right under one of the pillars, then you know that that's something that you need to pursue.
Totally. All of your action, you have to remember, all of your actions now can benefit you in the future. That the more you're consistent now in your message, the more it benefits you over the long term, because people, like I said, will get to know you for certain things. Whenever a question comes up, hey, who makes amazing chocolates? You're going to be the person they think of, right? Which, by the way, is an awesome thing to be thought of. Right? Or whatever it is, whatever your business is built around, you're going to be the one who comes up in people's minds. And, or, who has the most adorable dogs? That would be Jessie. But so that's super important to know, that the more streamlined you are with your message from the get-go, the more sustainable your business is over the long term, because you're really doing yourself a favor. You've probably heard that phrase, standing on the shoulders of giants. Well, you can be your own giant, actually. You can be the giant for future you if you start laying that groundwork now. So that's why this is super important to sort of check in with yourself, especially if you're feeling like your business is kind of scattered, or you feel like people don't really understand me or what it is that I do. Give yourself some time, take a step back from your business, give yourself a few days and just like really dig in. What is it that you care about? Why are you doing this? Chances are there's some really, really good reasons, and it's just a matter of reconnecting with those and then reimagining your business to build your message around that, that internal litmus test.
Yeah, and it's really surprising, and it has been for us, when you see how many people are paying attention while you're building that consistency. How many people are watching but not saying anything, and then months down the road someone's like, hey, I want to work with you because I've been paying attention to you for the last 6 to 8 months. And you're like, oh, I have no idea who you are, but that's awesome. It totally happens because I think people tend to just want to lurk and observe for a while before they reach out to actually interact. Some people are naturally interactors and some people are naturally watchers, and that's fine. But the basis of that is there is always someone watching, which sounds a little terrifying, but Big Brother is after you.
No, let's reframe that. There's always somebody who is interested in what you're doing because they like it and they want to see, is this something that could benefit me? Is this something that could benefit my business and my life? Is this something I could use? So don't be creeped out by it.
Right. No, you never know who you're inspiring. You never know who needed your message at the exact time that you sent it. And they might not even tell you that until months down the road. So that consistency becomes really important, because in being consistent, you are allowing yourself to share that message and to have those life-altering moments for other people, even if they don't choose to share them with you right away. And so what ends up happening with this consistency and with this streamlinedness is that you create this pathway for sustainable growth, so that instead of feeling like you're all over the place, you can see the exact path that you need to go along to get to your goals, whether it's your short-term goals or your long-term goals. And you can tell when you veer off course too, and kind of adjust back to that center line, so that you are always moving forward. Even if you're moving forward slowly, there is that momentum in the right direction.
Totally. One tiny bit of advice as you set forward with your own mission and vision statements and the pillars of your business. If you're doing it right, you're going to start feeling like you're a broken record at some point.
Yes.
You're going to feel like, oh my gosh, didn't I just say this exact thing in a podcast interview or like in 8 blog posts and Facebook posts? But it's okay. Because it turns out there's a lot of people who need to hear what you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in different places. They're all going to hear from you in different ways. And even if they hear from you multiple times, it's not necessarily going to stick the first time. So it is okay to feel like a broken record. And if you do, I even would challenge you to believe that you are doing it right. Especially as you see engagement and, rise. As you, I mean, not necessarily in every single Facebook post that you write or necessarily in every single email that you put out to your list, but just overall, if you feel like people are just getting more responsive and receptive, then you're doing it right, even if you just feel super repetitive. That's totally okay.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to remember that just because you've said it 1,000 times doesn't mean that someone isn't hearing it for the first time.
True.
And this is a total tangential story, but I think it drives the point home a little bit.
Story time!
Yay! One of the jobs that I had was for a museum, and it was a science museum that had just expanded. It just built a whole new wing to it was a science museum. So they had a new paleontology hall, and all of the dinosaurs had suddenly moved from the big grand hall to this other wing that was it was essentially a new building almost. And so every day people would come in and they'd walk into the entrance hall thinking that they would be greeted by this giant T-Rex, and there was nothing there. And so they would go up to the museum services desk and they would be like, where are all the dinosaurs? And so the person at museum services would direct them to the new hall, which was kind of a convoluted twisting pathway to this new area. And there's this one time where one of the museum services people was just like, I am so sick of giving people this turn right at the bathroom and go left at the pendulum and these directions. I'm just so sick of giving them out. And so the response that the other person in the conversation had was, yeah, but the person you're talking to has no idea where they're going. This is the first time that they've been back at this museum to see this amazing new dinosaur hall and experience it for the first time. So just keep that kind of context in mind, that even though you've said it literally 100 times that day, this person is hearing it for the first time. And they really want to see those dinosaurs because dinosaurs are cool.
And so is your business.
Yes, and so is your business. So just remembering when you feel like a broken record, you aren't necessarily a broken record. And this kind of leads into our last point. If you are kind of following this pathway, if you are focusing on connecting to your core, then it doesn't matter if you sound like a broken record, because you are focusing on what you love to talk about, what you love to see implemented in your industry and world, and how you love to connect with people. So it doesn't matter that you're saying it 1,000,000 times, because you're saying something you love 1,000,000 times.
It's totally true. You know how people are always like, don't work in an ice cream shop because you'll never love ice cream again? Okay. I don't think that's true. I haven't worked in an ice cream shop, but I'll tell you that one of my best friends did, and she still loves ice cream. And on a more serious note, when you are doing something that you love with your business, you pretty much, and it's gaining traction, you pretty much never feel more fired up than that moment. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a good thing. And it's definitely not something to be afraid of. Do not worry. You are not going to burn out from loving it too much. If anything, you might just burn out from spreading yourself too thin. So that's certainly a greater danger than just sounding like a broken record to yourself. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one of the other things that kind of ties into this is, and this is a huge belief of mine, especially having been a teacher, is that it's really important to go deeper, not wider. So when you're saying this message again and again and again, it allows you to uncover new facets of it and new ways to approach it, new teaching methods, new conversations that you can have. And that only comes from repetition and from digging into it yourself a little bit more. And when you are deeply teaching or deeply talking about one or two topics that are really in line with your vision for your business, that allows you to get into the nitty-gritty of it rather than just staying on the surface level of, here are a bunch of things that you can know a little bit about, because that's what Google exists for. If you want to know a little bit about a lot of things, that's where you go to the search engine, you watch some YouTube videos. But if you want to get really in depth and really become a master of something and help other people master something, so in our case, master your messaging, then that's when you really need to focus on that going deeper and repeating yourself a little bit, but from different angles and in different contexts.
So true. So to recap very quickly our episode today, connecting to your core, what does that even mean? And the answer to that is figuring out, reminding yourself what's important to you. What are you passionate about? And how does that intersect with your business goals and what your audience needs? The next question is, what does that even look like? And in practical terms for us, what we advise for you guys is to write your own mission statement, to write your own vision statement, and to create the pillars of your business, or the things that you want to be known for, the things that all of your messaging is aligned with. And you don't have to share those with anybody. They can be your own internal guide. And that's totally fine, but it's really important to have them. And then finally, what's the point of all this? What's the result? And the answer is that your business and of course your messaging is way more streamlined. It's way more sustainable over the long term. And you're making a change in the world by doing something that you totally love. So it's totally win-win for you and for your audience when you connect to your core and get focused on what it is that you love.
Absolutely. So we would love, if you feel comfortable doing so, for you to share with us what your core is, the core of your business, and what drives you to get up every day and put so much effort and energy into helping people and helping make that positive impact on people's lives and within your business. So feel free to drop that in the comments, and we look forward to chatting with you again soon.